At one of the early IMCoS dinners, I sat next to Dr. Isla Campbell, and she asked me during the evening whether I was planning to do anything else in London. I told her that I wanted to go to the London University Library because I gathered they had an unusual road map book. She said, "Tell them I sent you." So I went to the library. They got the atlas out for me, and I looked at it and went through it. And then I asked them, "Can I photograph it?" And they said, "Yes, we will find you a room on your own so you are not disturbed." So this is now sometime later, I rang Doreen Green and she said to me, "There's a letter in the post for you. I've got an unusual road map, which I haven't seen before, and I thought you might like it." And this is the map. London to Land's End, a copy of Ogilvy, but Ogilvy used 4 maps, and this one is all condensed onto 1 map. And instead of the usual nice cartouches in Ogilvy map, the cartouche is rather a small one like we showed you just now. Now, sometime later, Doreen Green rang me and said, "I'd found another of these maps." And I said, "Well, I'd like to buy it." She said, "It won't be quite as cheap as the last one because I know what this is now. I know it's Herman Mole."
Sounds like Doreen.
That one. Can we have the next one?
Yep, there it is.
Coming up. Now, this map is rather unusual. It's the only one in the atlas. When I say atlas, there was only 11 maps. These have different cartouches. And if we go on again, we've got a close-up. Here we are, the close-up of the cartouche, London to Dover. This map only covers 3 of Ogilvy's roads instead of 4 like the other one. Now, during my research, I found that the British Library, in fact, do have 2 maps from this atlas. But from the notes of J.B. Harley, I would suggest, the same as he says, that these 2 maps were issued early to try to drum up interest on the Herman Mole's roads. Herman Mole only produced, trying to find my notes, Herman Mole only produced 11 maps in his atlas, but he covered 47 of Ogilvy's maps. But where the British Library have 2, and that I said they were most likely sent to drum up interest. And I've also found in my research that Philip Burden, in his private collection, he has an atlas similar to this one. But his atlas, instead of just having a map of England and Wales at the beginning, has an extra map of Scotland and an extra map of Ireland. Now, the British Library also have another atlas by Herman Mole, but these are continental roads, and its date is 1732. The previous atlas, which I talked about first, is 1718. But this atlas in the British Library has 17 maps, and they're, as I said, they're all continental roads, except there is 1 or 2 that cover a little bit of England or British Isles. There's 1 map of Ireland covering 2 roads in Ireland. There's another map which says London to Inverness, but then Ogilvy never went into Scotland like this. And then there's another map, London to Paris, which of course will show you London to Dover. And there's another map which says London to Amsterdam, but this will only show you up to Harwich. Now, if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thanks very much, David. Yeah, some interesting maps there. Very rare.
They're unusual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the better word, isn't it? Yeah.
I think they're very scarce.
I've only seen one of them before in my entire life. Questions for David?
I was curious about the coloration that's on the map here, like this color here where it changes. It shows two colors, David.
The coloring?
Yeah, you see the coloring here on the screen, right?
Coloring is where the counties change. The little strips of coloring. This is up to, where it's up to the bit that you showed just now would be up to Surrey, and then when you check when the coloring changed, little strips of coloring, you would change into another county, Kent. And for some reason they just put two little strips of coloring each time you changed into another county.
There'll be different bylaws probably. We have a question for you from Lawrence Penny. If they're 1718, David, does that make them the earliest re-engravings of Ogilvy?
Pardon?
Does 1718 date make them the earliest re-engravings of Ogilvy?
This one is 1718, and of course, I think we believe that the people that were financing Herman Mall pulled out and started financing Owen and Bowen, a bit of Depictors. So then Herman Mall didn't have enough finance behind him to complete his atlas. So he only did 11 maps and covered less than half, just under half of Ogilvy's maps. That's what we believe.
Okay, so that means they would be physically the earliest, I think, in the answer to your question, Lawrence, but not in general publication. We've got time for one more question if we're tight. If we don't have it, we're going to move on. Thank you very much indeed, David.